First of all, we have 2 awards to present, and I recognize Michael Hill to make the first of these presentations.
Thank you, Jim, and greetings, friends. It's my pleasure today to present the 20th annual North Caroliniana Book Award. I come to you on behalf of fellow committee members Jeff Crow and Georgianne Eubanks. This year, we are sharing the titles of our 5 finalists, and they are Linda Gilmore's Romar Bearden in the Homeland of His Imagination, Bill Witchard's A Consequential Life, David Lowry Swain, 19th Century North Carolina and their University, Randall Keenan's Black Folk Could Fly, Selected Writings, Philip Gerard's North Carolina in the 1940s, A Decade of Transformation, and the book we chose to honor, Lindley Butler's A History of North Carolina in the Proprietary Era, 1629 to 1729. Our task, as it is each year, is to select the title published last year in 22, which we expect will stand the test of time as a work of North Caroliniana. The Proprietary Era, about which Lindley spent his life researching, is one where historians have feared to tread. Indeed, no writer has prepared a comprehensive work on the period since R.D.W. Connor a century ago. The period is little understood and difficult to research. This was truly Lindley's life's work. He began writing about the subject in the 1960s, completing thesis and dissertation under Hugh Leffler in Chapel Hill's History Department. Aside from a brief teaching stint at Louisburg College, Lindley spent his career at Rockingham Community College in his native county. There, he engaged in creating a local museum and archives and spent many days on his beloved Dan River. Lindley was a particular friend of the Office of Archives and History and supported and benefited from the agency's Colonial Records Project, still ongoing. He engaged in the dives on Blackbeard's flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, and indeed he served as that project's official historian. Writers differ about North Carolina's Genesis story. Virginia has Jamestown, Georgia has Oglethorpe, and South Carolina has the slavocracy based upon the deep water port at Charleston. North Carolina has the story of Roanoke, but owing to discontinuity, it is generally dismissed as the state's genesis. Rather, Lindley argues in this book that it is the story of the 8 Lords Proprietors, and this is their seal, and the region known as Albemarle that constitutes our beginning. Several factors distinguish Lindley's book. He excels in telling the Native American story, and in lyrical fashion, that of the early explorers John Lederer and John Lawson, and the colony's flora and fauna. One chapter that will be of special interest to readers will be the story of the failed Barbadian effort to establish a colony at Charlestown, north of Wilmington, a subject that Lindley devoted a lot of time to researching. He pursued the tale of the Barbadians doggedly and indeed traveled to Barbados to plumb their archives. Sad to say, Lindley died last summer, but he lived long enough to see the book published by the UNC Press. With us today is his wife, T, who I will ask to come up. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Lindley would be thrilled to know that his life's work is selected by the North Caroliniana Society for such an honor. He cherished the society and appreciated its many contributions to knowledge of North Carolina's history, literature, and culture. His summers spent in Barbados in 1992 and 93 were on the origins of North Carolina, were accomplished as an Archie K. Davis Fellow of the Society. It could be closer, okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit hoarse today. He was an Archie K. Davis Fellow of the Society. Having participated in excavations at the failed Barbadian Charlestown colony on the Cape Fear, he joined in searching for archaeological remains of a similar structure that might have been on Barbados, in addition to spending many summer hours in the island's unair-conditioned archives. Dining on Blackbeard's flagship, which Michael just mentioned, Queen Anne's Revenge, fulfilled one of Lindley's dreams, exploring a historic wreck off the North Carolina coast. Ironically, Blackbeard provided us a portal into the proprietary era, since the underwater archaeology researchers kept asking Lindley about the historical context of their findings. Lindley loved water from his boyhood days paddling his homemade kayak on the Dan and Smith rivers that flanked his home. Years later, his research on the 19th century navigation structures in the rivers, which were built to enable bateaux to travel upstream, resulted in the nation's first National Register listing of a Rocky River navigation system. In 2002, we founded the Dan River Basin Association to protect and promote the watershed's natural and cultural resources in North Carolina and Virginia. So far, this association has created numerous public parks and trails and river access points throughout the basin's 3,300 square miles. The organization has coordinated, this with all of volunteers, has coordinated several hundred free paddles on the rivers and has partnered with schools to provide award-winning environmental education programs. Rockham Community College hired Lindley as chair of the Social Studies Department in 1968. But in 1974, the state named him historian in residence, which was his title until 1997 when he retired to devote full time to research and writing. Always curious about the proprietary era, Lindley loved it for its richness and variety and for the discoveries he made. He expected to find that the proprietors were unengaged absentee landowners. So he was surprised to learn how carefully crafted their governance documents actually were. Religious liberty afforded to settlers in North Carolina was unique in including anyone who believed in a God, even specifying enslaved persons and Native Americans in their documents. Some later proprietary colonies, such as Pennsylvania and the Jerseys, used North Carolina's documents as the basis for their own. Society in the early Albemarle created a middling economy without the benefit of towns, churches, schools, or other institutions. They were truly self-governed as they made up their society, guided by the proprietors' governance documents and their own memories of English institutions. This underappreciated era contributed significantly to the foundation not only of North Carolina, but also of the nation. You think about people going out west, they didn't have towns or schools or churches. They had to start from scratch, just as these people did. Our family is deeply grateful to you, the North Caroliniana Society, for your support of Lindley's career and for honoring this book as final contribution to North Carolina history. Thank you.